The film begins in a remote forest near a lake. A drone buzzes over the treetops, weaving through the air like a predator. It zips low over the water, heading toward a secluded lake cabin. Inside the cabin, a young woman named Teresa reads quietly while her cousin Jessica lies in bed, sick and withdrawn. Suddenly, Jessica begins reciting lines from Wuthering Heights, mimicking Teresa's reading, a disturbing sign that something else is inside her. Jessica suddenly vomits and collapses on the floor. Then, without warning, she awakens and scalps Teresa in one brutal motion, tearing off the top of her head with her bare hands. Later, Teresa tries asking for help from Jessica's boyfriend, Caleb, but Jessica appears and jumps in the river. Caleb follows right after, only to be killed and his head tossed back. Suddenly, a possessed Jessica levitates from the lake, arms spread wide. The scene shifts to a toilet, where we meet Beth, a guitar technician living on the road. She's taking a pregnancy test, and to her disappointment, she finds out she's pregnant. Beth returns to the city to visit her estranged sister, Ellie, a single mother raising 3 children, Danny, Bridget, and the youngest, Cassie. Their apartment is run down and about to be condemned. The power flickers, the elevator's busted and tension lingers between the sisters. Beth tries to reconnect, but Ellie is struggling. Her husband has left, the kids are unsettled and something feels fragile in the family. Yet, there's love underneath it all. Later, Ellie turns to her kids and reminds them to go pick up pizza for dinner. As the kids return with boxes of pizza in hand, the floor suddenly trembles beneath their feet. A deafening rumble erupts. The building groans and sways as a violent earthquake tears through the foundation. Light fixtures sway and the air fills with falling debris. Down in the parking garage, the concrete gives way and a massive crack splits the ground open. Dust billows upward, and something ancient breathes for the first time in decades. Curious and defiant, Danny steps forward. Ignoring his sister's protests, he climbs down into the gaping hole and explores the pitch-black cavity beneath the garage. In the shadows, he finds the remains of an old bank vault, broken crucifixes, torn books and symbols scratched into the walls like warnings no one listened to. In a dusty compartment, he uncovers strange, unmarked vinyl records and a hideous book, its cover made of stretched, dried skin and sealed with bone-like teeth that seem to shiver at his touch. He brings it all back upstairs, his heart racing. Danny tries to open the book while Bridget looks on uneasily. He forces the book to open and pries at the sealed cover. A jagged hook nicks his finger, and his blood seeps into the spine. The book springs open on its own, revealing page after page of terrifying illustrations, twisted creatures, mutilated bodies, symbols dripping with evil. Bridget gasps and slams it shut. But Danny's curiosity gets the better of him and sets one of the vinyl records on his old turntable. A grainy voice emerges, the voice of a priest from decades ago, documenting his research. He speaks of an ancient text, forbidden by the church, and how his fellow priests tried to destroy it. The priest's voice grows more intense, describing an exorcism gone wrong. The possessed speaks in a voice not its own, naming the demon that has taken hold, a name lost to time and pain, Malik. The audio distorts, the speakers spike in volume, the room pulses with energy and Danny tries to lower the volume, but the force behind the words cannot be silenced. Outside, something races through the clouds, invisible, drawn to the cursed building. Inside the apartment, Ellie steps into the hallway, heading downstairs to do laundry. The elevator door opens and she enters. As the elevator descends, it halts with a jolt and the lights flicker. Suddenly, the unseen entity rushes toward her like a wave. The door slams shut, and gets lifted into the air. The demon enters her, forcing its way through every vein and every nerve. Minutes later, Ellie walks back into the apartment. She goes to the kitchen, and grabs a handful of eggs and cracks them into a pot. She stirs slowly, her face blank. Beth watches from a distance, sensing something off. Suddenly, Ellie pauses, her eyes twitch. She turns to them and tells Beth that something is inside her. Then vomits a thick, milky fluid across the floor and collapses. Later, Beth tries to explain to Ellie's neighbors, Gabriel and Mr. Fonda, what she just witnessed. Gabriel then gently closes her eyes with 2 fingers, but the moment he lets go, her eyes snap open, wide and empty. Gabriel, unsettled, backs away. He suggests they pray. Maybe it's the only thing left to do. He and Mr. Fonda begin to whisper solemn prayers over her body, but the air feels heavier with every word they speak. They decide to leave, to look for a way out of the crumbling building. The elevator is dead, the stairwell has collapsed during the quake, there's nowhere left to run. Down the hall, Danny realizes that he's the reason this is happening. He opened the book, he played the recordings, he let something in. Back in their mother's room, Ellie awakens, but her skin begins to boil from the inside out, She's overheating, far beyond anything human. They rush her into the bathroom, lowering her into cold water. Suddenly, she emerges. Her voice is no longer her own. She tells them that Ellie is gone, burning in hell. She then lunges at Beth, stabbing her in her hand. She then turns on Bridget, pinning her to the floor. With her own tattoo gun, Ellie slices into Bridget's cheek, injecting something dark and oily into the open wound. Danny tackles her off. For a second, they think it's over. But outside, Gabriel and Mr. Fonda hear the children's screams and rush back in. Unfortunately, Ellie leaps onto Gabriel, her fingers tearing at his face. He screams and thrashes. She sinks her mouth over his eye and rips it out, swallowing it whole. Beth grabs the kids and slams the door shut just as Ellie tears through the hallway, ripping the neighbors apart one by one. Their screams echo through the walls, limbs crash against doors, blood seeps under the cracks. As the hallway becomes silent, Ellie then slams her head against the apartment door, over and over, her voice twisted, pleading to be let back in. Inside, Danny is shaking. He finally confesses. He shows Beth the book, its pages filled with ancient, horrifying illustrations, images that now match what they're seeing unfold in real time. He shows her the vinyl records too. The priests on the tape had tried to warn whoever found it. In the kitchen, Bridget turns on the stovetop, letting the flame flicker beside her. She stares at the wound on her face. The veins around it pulse black. Suddenly, her mouth and nose begin to bleed. She collapses forward and vomits a thick swarm of maggots onto the countertop. Beth and Danny hear the sounds and rush in. They find Bridget on the counter, her mouth filled with glass shards. She's chewing, swallowing, bleeding from her lips. She then lunges at Beth. Beth then grabs a pot and swings it hard, sending Bridget crashing to the ground. Unfortunately, Bridget rises again, blood trailing from her mouth. She rushes at Cassie. Terrified, the little girl raises the broken end of a broomstick, trying to defend herself. The wood drives through Bridget's mouth and bursts out the back of her head, killing her. Later, Danny has dragged Bridget's body back to her bed and binded her arms and legs with whatever he can find just in case she wakes up again. Beth, desperate for answers, places the final vinyl on the turntable. The recording crackles to life, the priest's voice once again filling the room. He speaks in a broken, terrified tone. The others wouldn't listen. They tried every form of exorcism. Nothing worked. The only way to stop it is to dismember the body. Elsewhere, Bridget awakens and lunges at Danny, grabbing a sharp knife and plunging it into his arm. She then vomits blood all over his face. Meanwhile, Ellie appears behind Beth and throws her in the living room. Beth tries to fight back, but Ellie pins her down, her mouth inches from her face. Suddenly, she begins sniffing her and presses her nose against Beth's stomach, inhaling deeply. Realizing that Beth is pregnant, Ellie tells Beth she's going to send her and her unborn baby straight to hell. As Beth's eyes widen with terror, she reaches for a pair of scissors on the floor and plunges it into Ellie's mouth, cutting deep and forcing the creature off her, giving her and Cassie a chance to escape the building. Behind them, Ellie staggers. She yanks the scissors out of her mouth, then merges her body with her kids' bodies, becoming something monstrous, a grotesque fusion of limbs and faces. Beth and Cassie race out of the parking lot. Unfortunately, it grabs Cassie and pulls her back. Beth doesn't hesitate. She chases after them, her resolve stronger than ever. Beth fires her shotgun and blows a chunk off the abomination's body. She then uses a chainsaw and pushes the writhing mass into the grinder. The creature screams, 1,000 voices from one throat, as it finally gets destroyed. Blood showers the garage. Beth and Cassie collapse, exhausted, drenched in blood, but alive. The nightmare is over, or so they think. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.